Not one, not two, because maybe three. The three-peat in the NFL is so close to becoming a reality for the first time ever. That Mahomes magic might be just what the Chiefs need this Sunday in New Orleans to give us something we haven't seen in the Big Four professional leagues since the Lakers won 3 straight titles in the early 2000s. And when you talk about Kansas City, they're already making some history of their own just by making it to this stage. Of all the other teams that started the season trying to three-peat, none of them ever even made it to the Super Bowl to begin with. Of course, winning it all on Sunday is all that really matters if you want to be remembered forever. Let's further the convo and bring in the one and only Nate Burleson joining us from New Orleans. Nate, by this time, we've had 2 weeks. We've talked so many of the inside, the outside of this matchup. So I want to go bigger picture, and let's start with the Chiefs, because you see this run that they're on, trying to three-peat. If they get it, do they put them at the top of your mind when it comes to the dynasties that we've seen?
That's tough because we just witnessed what Tom Brady and the Patriots did. I believe they will be right behind the Patriots, but very close. What makes this special is what he was able to accomplish before the age of 30. Patrick Mahomes has been an elite quarterback. Just think about it. Over the past 7 years, when he has become a star, when he became a starter with the Kansas City Chiefs, he's been to the Super Bowl 5 times. The only other times he lost were in the AFC Championship game, losing to Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. So it's the amount of success in the short amount of time. So yeah, they are firmly cemented in the conversation. The question is, what's going to happen past the age of 30? I just feel like he has such a head start on catching Tom Brady that by the time he's done with all of this, he will go down as the greatest quarterback. Andy Reid will go down as the greatest coach, and the Kansas City Chiefs will go down as the greatest NFL team of all time.
Yeah, Mahomes, we look at him, and at this age already, he's already in the conversation when you can bring up the names of Tom Brady, Terry Bradshaw, and Joe Montana, because those are the only QBs who have 4 Super Bowl titles. Mahomes trying to join that company. Is it just time that he needs to be able to further cement and permanently be in that upper echelon class for him?
Yeah, it's just time. It's just a matter of time. I remember when Tom Brady retired, and I think we all were collectively thinking, this isn't going to be something we see for a long time. We'll never see a team with a quarterback stay together for so long, see that sustained success over time. And then Patrick Mahomes introduces himself to the sports world. And yeah, he gets 1 Super Bowl. We like him. Then he gets another one. We love him. They win their 3rd, and we're like, oh, boy, this is looking good. And now, on their way to possibly getting their 4th Super Bowl, I just can't believe that he's doing this with this amount of time. And what makes it special, let's just talk X's and O's for a little bit. When he first came on the scene, he had that young, fast, electric wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, and they were explosive. They were like the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant, just run and gun offense. And then over time, you've seen this offense evolve. So Patrick Mahomes has did it in so many different ways. And yeah, I'm crediting Patrick Mahomes, but you have to give a pat on the back to Andy Reid. Think about how he has adjusted his coaching style for every type of team. They went from this high-flying offense that can throw the ball downfield, scoring 50 points a game, to this past season where they had so many one-score victories, which basically means they're not scoring 50 points. They are closing out these games, very close games, because they know how to win in the moments that matter the most.
Yeah, you bring up Andy Reid, and that's exactly where I wanted to go next, because despite all of his success, it feels like when people talk about and think about the great NFL coaches, Andy Reid doesn't really come up in the discussion. What do we need to do to give him his flowers and let it be known, like, hey, he is one of them ones?
Just sit back and look at him and what he's done with the types of teams that he has done it with. He's the all-time winningest coach for the Chiefs, all-time winningest coach for the Eagles. Oh, and he's 4th all-time in overall victories in the NFL. Andy Reid is a surefire Hall of Famer, all right? We already know that. But just give him credit for how he has adjusted his coaching style depending on the players that he has had. Just think about some of the QBs that he has coached in the past. I mean, he was able to be successful with Alex Smith before Patrick Mahomes took over. With the Eagles, he had guys like Donovan McNabb and Michael Vick. Andy Reid is one of those coaches that me, as a former wide receiver, I would love to play for, because he doesn't go in saying, listen, this is my team, and I'm going to coach it the way I want it, and you as a player are going to have to adjust to me. My ego as a coach is bigger than you. No, no, no. He sets his ego aside. he sets this soon-to-be Hall of Fame jacket that he will put on one day aside, and he says, all right, let me look at the skill set of my players. All right, I got a QB that has a good arm. He can run a little bit. I have a tight end in Travis Kelce, one of the best route runners. And depending on my receiving core, we can go big or we can go short distance. Oh, and this defense, we love to blitz with Spagnuolo, who is the defense coordinator, but we have guys that can be ball hawks when the ball's in the air. All right. Now let me shape the style and identity of my team. That's why I can appreciate my guy Andy Reid more than most coaches.
Nate, I know you appreciate also seeing good route running, seeing wide receivers tear it up, but I want to talk about a running back to make us over here on the Eagles side. And Saquon Barkley, obviously, the year that he's had, really one of the best that we have seen in quite some time. For this Eagles team, he pops right in and just does it all. From the standpoint of what he means to Philly, where do you put him in the running back conversation and how important he is?
Listen, he's right there in the best running back in the league conversation. It's Derrick Henry. I think you have some other guys that had some really good seasons, but it's Saquon Barkley right behind Derrick Henry. And some would say they like Saquon more because he can catch out of the backfield. He's a little bit more agile. We're watching these highlights. I mean, he can run around you, he can juke you, and he can jump over you frontwards and backwards. So Saquon can do it all. You know, the one thing I can appreciate about Saquon is that when I talked to him about midway through the year, he talked about leaving the Giants. Of course, he wanted to stay. And then he talked about finding some security financially when it comes to him playing with the Eagles. And he mentioned something that I'll never forget. He said, right now I'm playing free. And you would think that most guys are playing free, right? No, no, no. But it's different because they were basically putting him on this rental program when he was playing for the New York Giants. And he didn't have that job security. The Eagles come in, they say, we're going to give you a check. We're going to put you in contract for a couple of years. And we're going to make sure that you feel like you're home. And once they did that, this guy said, I've been playing better than I've ever played before. And another note that Saquon told me when he was talking about training, he said that he hits top speed every practice. Okay, if he's banged up, of course he's going to take care of his body. But think about that for a second. I'm an athlete. I played in the NFL for 11 years. I didn't even hit top speed every practice. But he says that he wanted to mimic what the game felt like at the practice, so when he got on the field on Sundays, it wouldn't be a surprise. So some of those moves, some of that speed, those highlights that we see, that surprises us. We cheer, we jump up out our seat, but it is no surprise to Saquon Barkley. In his mind, what he sees at practice, how he practices, he has seen every single situation. But getting to this game, it's going to be tough for the Chiefs to stop Saquon. But if they sell out and try to stop Saquon, it's going to be up to Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, to make them pay in the air.
So we got to the game. I know you've had at this point 2 weeks to decide, 2 weeks to think about it, to ponder. You've got boots on the ground. You know the feel in New Orleans right now. So Nate Burleson, I ask you, who wins the Super Bowl?
I want the Philadelphia Eagles to win. And I don't have Chiefs fatigue. I'm fine with them getting another victory, but I just would love to see Saquon be rewarded with a Super Bowl victory. And I think it would put him in the conversation of one of the best running backs of his era. And I think we'll be reminded how important a really good running back is for your team. But with all that said, logic tells me I can't bet against the Chiefs unless Tom Brady and that Buccaneers defense, the one that beat him in Tampa, is going to show up on Sunday. It's hard for me to say that the Chiefs are going to lose this. I mean, it's a combination of all of these things. Their defense is fantastic. They're very aggressive. Offensively, they have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and a host of guys. But then we go right to that sideline. This isn't just players versus players. This is coach versus coach. This is Andy Reid versus Nick Sirianni. And I'm going with Andy Reid every single time he's in the big game. So I believe that the Chiefs will win this one.
So, Nate, I had James Brown earlier. I talked to him. He said Chiefs win 27-24. Can I get a score from you? Because we got to blast this out on social media with a final score as well.
Whew. Putting me on the spot. You know, the Chiefs are scoring a little under 30, a little over 30, so that's their average. I would say in a close one, the Chiefs win this 34-31.
34-31. We'll get that written down in ink, permanent, put it on stone, blast it there for everyone to be able to see. Nate Burleson, certainly appreciate the time. Enjoy New Orleans, enjoy the beignets and everything else that comes with it.
I will do. I'll Uber some beignets to you in a little bit.
Thank you very much. Send it down to Fort Lauderdale because that's where we are for our portion of HQ. The other side of our team with HQ, they're in New Orleans giving you all that coverage live ahead of the big game. So make sure you stay tapped in to the HQ fan because we have you covered every step of the way.
Welcome back to New Orleans. I'm Katie Mox, and I'm joined here with Kyle Long, Jonathan Jones, and Pete Prisco. We are counting down to Super Bowl 59 between the Eagles and the Chiefs. So we've got some burning questions that we still have to get through. Now, I know, JJ, you cannot pick this game, but Pete, Kyle, and I all like the Chiefs in this one. But the question remains here, right? Would you feel more comfortable, and I'll start with you, Kyle, taking the Eagles if it didn't come down to the final 2 minutes in the fourth quarter?
100%. You're looking at the football iteration of Michael Jordan and Patrick Mahomes. If he's got the football at the end of the game in those 2 minutes, that's where the magic happens. I was there for the 13 seconds game against the Bills, and it just feels like a movie we've seen so many times. It's inevitable. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid having a game-winning drive together, 87 sprinkled in there somewhere. So, yeah, if I'm an Eagles fan and you promise me they're going to take the last 2 minutes out, I'm putting my house on it. But unfortunately, that's not the way the NFL works, and they're going to have to play those final 2 minutes.
Yeah, we're not shortening the NFL like Adam Silver may be trying to shorten the NBA, right? So we are doing that. And speaking of NBA, Kyle, I think that you make the note that Patrick Mahomes is the NFL's version of Michael Jordan. I think he is like this world's version of the Grim Reaper, right?
Yeah.
So in those final 2 minutes, the Grim Reaper's coming, and you don't get to evade him. So, yeah, I'd feel a whole lot better about the Eagles if you know for a fact that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs won't have the football.
The Eagles are the better team, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes. And so, yes, if you took out the final 2 minutes, I would take the Eagles. But you don't take out the final 2 minutes. And in fact, he's going to have the ball at the end of the game to go win it, and I think he will win it. He is Michael Jordan shooting over Elo. He's Michael Jordan.
Byron Russell. Bye.
Yeah, see ya. I mean, that's who he is.
Loser.
He is that guy. So to answer that question, yes, I would take the Eagles if you didn't take the final 2 minutes.
And that makes Kelsey Shaq for this team, you know? These two, unbelievable.
Well, Pete, I feel like you set me up perfectly for my next question here, because you did say the Eagles are the better team, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes. Is that the difference maker, or what makes the Chiefs better than the Eagles?
Patrick Mahomes. I mean, if you go through the roster and go position by position, they're better at everyone. Not individually, I'm talking about units.
Position groups.
Yeah, they're better at every one. And so I think that's why you got to look at Patrick Mahomes being the difference. Coaching is also a big edge, I think, to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, so we can't overlook that, right? Because the coaching certainly, and we're talking about head coach, right? Because some of those position coaches for the Eagles are pretty dang good as well. Certainly, it's Patrick Mahomes. He is a difference maker, and it's no affront. It is no shade toward Jalen Hurts. It is the fact that Patrick Mahomes is going to be the better quarterback no matter who the other 31 teams are that are going to be playing in that contest. So that is where they are. And then I might even, Kyle, I'd love to hear you on this. I might argue Chris Jones is better individually than a Jalen Carter, who's coming off an illness, with a Chris Jones who has been here, done that, knows what it takes in a game that is going to stretch 4 hours long.
Ill or healthy, I'm picking Chris Jones in these big games.
Me too.
He is our version of Reggie Jackson. I'll go with another sport, baseball, Mr. October. When the rubber meets the road in the NFL season, I count on number 95 finding a way to get home, making those big plays to change the game. He kind of saves it a little bit, and I'm not saying he takes his foot off the pedal much, but he finds a way to get that thing to go to 11 on certain plays. Chris Jones, fantastic. And also, I want to see if that Eagles group can be disciplined. We saw some stuff that was, I don't know if it's out of character or not from the Eagles. I guess we'll find out more in the Super Bowl. But if Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith can get under the skin of that defensive line, look for some free yards, maybe some laundry on the field. I know that the Chiefs are disciplined. They will not be the ones to make that mistake.
And, you know, it's funny you say disciplined, because, Pete, how long ago was it that we were talking about Andy Reid's teams are never disciplined, like in the playoffs, right? It was 5 years. It was that Tampa Super Bowl, right? Where, yeah, they had laundry all over the field, and Andy Reid's teams, they forget about discipline. And in the last 4 or 5 years or so, ever since that Super Bowl, no. When it comes down to the final game of the season, they have everything sewn up.
And that's why people always point to all the penalties and this and that and everything. They get the rule. You don't get penalties if you're well coached.
That's right.
Well coached teams don't get penalties.
Do you care to rebuttal off of that about Andy Reid's teams aren't disciplined, considering you played for him?
Well, like he said, so much has changed throughout the course of Andy Reid's coaching career. When he was in Philadelphia, there were a lot of complaints, situational awareness, game management, clock scenarios. Andy Reid is a football guy, and he has been able to get smarter as a coach, not only himself, but he has collected a ton of head coaches on his staff.
Yes.
Andy Heck is a guy that I think should be or could be a head coach in the National Football League. Spags is a guy that obviously has head coach potential. But both of these teams, have those style of coaches. Stoutland in Philadelphia with the offensive line. Vic Fangio, I had him in Chicago.
Kellen
What a
Moore's
leader
about
of
to be
men.
a
Kellen
head coach
Moore's
here.
about to be a guy. There's a lot at play here, but I just trust that staff in red a little bit more than the ones in green.
All right, so you trust the staff in red a little bit more, but let's talk about these defensive coordinators, right? Two of the best in the league. You got Spags versus Fangio. Which offense do you think is going to be able to move better? I'll start with you, JJ.
Which offense will move better against these defensive coordinators? Boy, it's hard for me because I'm thinking Patrick Mahomes, but which offense will move better? I do believe that the Philadelphia Eagles will move the ball better offensively than the Kansas City Chiefs will. Do I believe that that means that when it's time, when the chips are down and the play has to be made, that 15 isn't going to find 87 for the Kansas City Chiefs? Of course, that is what is ultimately going to happen because we've seen it time and again. But at the end of this, when we're looking at the ledger, when we have the score sheet in hand, you're going to look at this and the yards for both teams, one team is probably going to have 150 more yards, and I bet it's the Philadelphia Eagles. And one team's going to have fewer points, and it might be the Philadelphia Eagles.
Here's what I think.
Ooh.
I think that one defense is anticipating that if we play our style of defense, you will make a mistake eventually. That's the bend, don't break MO that Vic Fangio has instilled in Philadelphia. We're going to get after you up front. We're going to keep everything in front of us on the back end. And then Spags. Spags likes to gamble a little bit. He likes to throw 500,000 on red. And every once in a while, that thing cashes out. And you're going, man, oh, man, he's a genius. Spags, what a great big game coordinator. I fully anticipate him to try to take away the strengths of that Philadelphia offense, which means Jalen Hurts. It's going to fall squarely on his shoulders. And he's done it before against Patrick Mahomes, but they didn't finish. So close, JJ.
Steve Spagnuolo stopped Tom Brady and Randy Moss when they were scoring machine.
Wow.
He's going to get creative here, and he's going to come up with something to limit this offense. So the question is asked, I think he slows down the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he's going to limit Barkley. I think he's going to play bare fronts and take away that run game. And I think they're going to limit him. He's going to get creative as can be. Steve Spagnuolo might be the best postseason defensive coordinator we've ever seen.
Wow.
Wow.
One thing we know about,
because Belichick was once a defensive
That's right.
coordinator.
He won too. We saw those rings last night.
yeah, one thing we know about Spags is he's going to dial it up in the second half, and maybe that's a large part in why this Chiefs team does so well in the second half. But the time has come to make a prediction for the game and the score as well. We'll start with you, Kyle.
28-24, Kansas City Chiefs, the three-peat finalized. On to the four-peat, JJ.
Wow. You know what? I'm not going to pick this game, and my role as lead NFL insider, I don't pick any games. However, I will say this. I know, right? But I got to give the people something, right? It is really hard to go up against Patrick Mahomes when you have seen what he has done, when you actually have the evidence of it over this past half decade. I'll leave it there. I'll just say it'd be really hard to pick against Patrick Mahomes.
You don't pick against Michael Jordan in the crunch time. You just don't. I'm not doing it. I will never do it. As long as he's playing in this game, he's getting the pick. And here's how they're going to do it. Down 4, late in the game, he's got the ball. Vic Fangio's defense, zone defense, carves them up. Worthy scores the game-winning touchdown. The Chiefs win it.
Wow.
30-27.
And then you're going to have a Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift proposal on the field.
No, we
you're
talked
breaking
about
news.
this earlier. I don't think that's happening. I don't think he wants to overshadow
He wouldn't do that.
No,
his
he wouldn't
team.
do that. And he shouldn't do that. Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that. I'll make it 4, though. I think the Chiefs win this game. I like the over 48.5. However they get there is how they get there. But that's going to do it for us here in New Orleans. Back to you guys on HQ.
Time for Super Bowl 59, buy or sell. Let's flash back first to Super Bowl 57. Jalen Hurts was working Kansas City's defense until he fumbled the ball in the second quarter, and Nick Bolton made him pay by scooping it up and going 36 yards to the house to tie the game. Only turnover of the game, and it was pivotal. Time now to welcome in CBS Sports NFL writers Will Brinson and Tyler Sullivan for a Super Bowl 59 edition of Buy or Sell. And we just showed you what the Eagles did, or what Kansas City did to the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. So when you look at this game, the fact that the Eagles haven't turned the ball over since Week 16, Will, do the Kansas City Chiefs get a takeaway in Super Bowl 59, buy or sell?
Yeah, I'm buying this for a couple of reasons. One, I think when you look at Steve Spagnuolo, and this is a really undersold aspect of this Super Bowl, and frankly, the entire coaching situation in the NFL, which is that Steve Spagnuolo is going for his fifth Super Bowl as an assistant coach in the NFL. There are guys who have more, of course, even more, the guys that have more on his own team as assistant coaches. But you're talking about a defensive coordinator, 5 Super Bowls, whether it's with the Giants, whether it's with the Chiefs, and he cooks up a game plan every time he's there that takes away what other teams are best at, which leads me to point number 2. I think the Eagles are going to come out and pass in this game, knowing that Spags is going to sell out to stop the run. If the Eagles pass, it means more opportunities for the Chiefs defense to intercept the ball, tip, whatever. And if the Chiefs get a lead somehow, you have a real opportunity to get a turnover if Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball a bunch. So yes, I will buy this.
Yeah, I'll say it is game script dependent, right? It's basically kind of what Will's saying here. If all of a sudden Kansas City's up, of course, you're going to have a more pass-heavy Philadelphia offense. But even still, I'm selling this. Of course, we all have to throw out there's a possibility that Kansas City's black magic will somehow result in a turnover for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I don't know if that's going to happen here. And I don't even know if it's really going to matter, because Kansas City has shown that they can beat teams without winning the turnover battle. They did that in the AFC Championship game. But you referenced it, Will. Steve Spagnuolo is going to craft a game plan against Jalen Hurts. If he's blitzing him like crazy, we've already seen in that previous Super Bowl that he can really slice and dice him a little bit. 10 of 13 against the blitz in that Super Bowl. Of course, they're going to change things up here. But overall, Philadelphia is a team that's going to be run heavy. At least that's what they're going to prefer to do, is to run the football effectively. So I don't know how many opportunities Jalen Hurts is going to get the football, or to throw the football, if they're playing the style they want to.
And ironically, the Super Bowl, or the turnover in last year's Super Bowl, or 2 years ago when they faced off against each other, was a QB sneak, right? Or QB run. So it's funny how everything is going to shake out. Now, on the tight end side, right? Zach Ertz caught 11 passes for 104 yards against the Eagles. We know the big game capability of Travis Kelce. Tyler, do the tight ends have more of an impact in this game than the wide receivers, buy or sell?
Yeah, I think they do, and for a lot of the reasons that you just kind of illustrated there. You look at what Travis Kelce is capable of. We all know this. He's set the Super Bowl receiving yard record for the tight end position back when they were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe it was 133 yards receiving. He was quiet in that AFC Championship game against the Buffalo Bills. I have a hard time believing that Travis Kelce is going to have 2 quiet games, one of them being in the AFC Championship and the other being in the Super Bowl. I feel like these are the opportunities and these are the moments where Travis Kelce shines the brightest, and it's going to be a guy that Patrick Mahomes looks at early and often. And you even referenced it. Philadelphia has shown that they're a little susceptible to tight ends. You saw what Zach Ertz was able to do, over 100 yards, double-digit catches in that NFC Championship game. Certainly, Travis Kelce has more tread on the tires than Zach Ertz. And then you flip it, I think Dallas Goedert's going to have a huge game as well. Kansas City has been the worst team at defending tight ends this season, allowing the most receiving yards to the position. They've already shown you this postseason that Dallas Goedert's a go-to option. He's either second or leading the team in receiving yards in this entire playoff run per game. So I like both of these tight ends quite a bit.
Hey, put some respect, Sully, on Noah Gray's name. My man Noah Gray is going to be the guy for this Super Bowl. I've called my shot all week. And I've said it multiple times in CBS, or I guess I wrote it multiple times in CBSSports.com articles. First touchdown, Noah Gray. And if you really want to get wacky, and I don't know if you can even bet this, but I would if I could. First touchdown scored, Travis Kelce, to Noah Gray. A tight end throwing to a tight end when the Chiefs get down by the goal line, line up in Wildcat. It looks like Kelce's running. He drops back, does a little Tebow pop pass over the top to a wide open Noah Gray, who releases from the block and then peels off. So I think you will see a lot of creative stuff. I mean, no bleep Sherlock's exclusive here, but like from Andy Reid. And you always see in these Chiefs Super Bowls, the tertiary players show up in a big way. Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Damian Williams. Let me tell you that Noah Gray is going to score a touchdown in this game, 5-1. Wouldn't surprise me if it's the first touchdown. I may have lowered it from 30-1 to 28-1. We'll see.
Hey, man, you got a lot of confidence in Noah Gray. So, Noah Gray, if you're watching this, yeah, no pressure. No pressure whatsoever. Now,
Shout
the
out
Eagles in Super Bowl 57, gentlemen, they led by 10 at halftime. They have been a really good first-half team this season. They led at halftime 10 straight games going all the way back to November. So, buy or sell, Will, that the Eagles will have a halftime lead on the Kansas City Chiefs.
I guess I technically did not buy the last one. I was buying it. I'm buying this as well. So I'm a Backstreet Boys song at this point. Bye, bye, bye. Look, the Chiefs have not. Here's the thing with the Chiefs, and Sully should know this better than anyone. They are the new Patriots. They are not designed to just come in and steamroll whoever they're playing. What they're going to do is hang around, figure out a way at halftime to adjust, and come back and win the game. I really think the Eagles, I'm not saying the Eagles will be better prepared, but I really think the Eagles will be leading at halftime of this game. However, I do think the Chiefs will win, and I think it will be because the Eagles come out and run the ball fairly effectively, and or they come out and pass early, throw down the field, throw over the middle of Dallas Goedert, and then run the ball into the end zone with Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts. But Patrick Mahomes is going to find a way. I will absolutely buy, excuse my dog, I will absolutely buy that the Eagles are up at halftime.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it as well. I just think that they are more concerned about setting the tone early in this game. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs are more comfortable kind of letting the game come to them and then adjusting at halftime and going into the second half. I just feel like that's a little bit more of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid's style to kind of lay in the weeds, see the landscape of the game. Meanwhile, you have Philadelphia just coming out guns blazing, trying to right the wrong of a couple of years ago in those playoffs. One of my favorite bets of this entire Super Bowl is to take the half-point spread of the Philadelphia Eagles in the half, and then you take the Kansas City Chiefs money line for the game. It's about 5-1. I think that's one of the better ones because of how much Kansas City can rally in these second halves. And of course, you look at what Philadelphia has been able to do defensively in the first half. I think they're allowing the third fewest points in the first half in this season so far. So again, love Philadelphia in this first half and potentially Kansas City for the game.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying it as well. It would not surprise me if the Eagles are up, but we know how Kansas City can come back in games late. Now for the final question. Kansas City wins and does the unthinkable, and they complete a three-peat. Buy or sell, Tyler, on that?
I said potentially because I didn't want to give it away, but yes, of course, I think Kansas City's going to win this game. I'm buying it, and I buy it for the simple reason of you can check the boxes for the Philadelphia Eagles for offensive line, for defense, for skill position players, for running back, but the two boxes you can't check in their direction are head coach and quarterback. And what takes you to a Super Bowl is a talented roster. What wins you a Super Bowl is elite quarterback play, generational quarterback play, and Hall of Fame head coaching. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs have in Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Been there, done that, and I think at the end of it, we're going to see the first ever three-peat in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm buying it too. Look, the Chiefs continually each year end up in the Super Bowl against a better NFC roster. And I'm not saying that the Eagles are a better team. The Eagles are just a better roster. And if you put Patrick Mahomes on the Eagles, they'd steamroll people too, I guess, if they had Andy Reid. I agree with Sully completely. This is a team that just knows how to win. They're not playing with house money, but there's zero pressure on them. Nick Sirianni can feel like he and Jalen Hurts can feel like no one respects them all they want. But the Chiefs are doing the same thing the Patriots did during their dynasty. When you would hear like Tom Brady and Gronk would get out there and be like, no one believed in us. And we'd all be like, what are you talking about? Everyone in the entire world believes in you every week, every season, we know you're going to win. That's the Chiefs. They will find a way to win. Betting against Patrick Mahomes is stupid. I won't do it. Bye, 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 bye.
Well, then, Will, call me stupid because I'm selling on Kansas City winning. I'll take that. I think the Eagles are going to get it done. I know we got Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they're masterminds, but something tells me Jalen Hurts, that defense, they are going to find a way to upset the Kansas City Chiefs. Should be a fun matchup. Tyler Sullivan, Will Brinson, we always appreciate the time. And also shout out to Will's dog. Now, here's a look at the most recent three-peat champions among the four major sports. The Lakers from 2002, the Yankees, Islanders, Packers back in 1965 to 1967, and then you also have the Houston Comets, who won 4 straight WNBA titles from 1996 to 2000.